What's up, guys? Gogan coming at you with another extended video. Okay, today's video is about staging and animation and telegraphing your animations. Okay, so today we're gonna walk through this goblin animation of him pulling the bomb out of his throat and throwing it. Okay, things that I want to like make point out right about this lesson is in the quick video is that. Like, this lesson is about creating an instance where you're telling the player exactly what is going to happen. You're anticipating the player to know what the enemy is going to do next, right? And this is a big part of an animator's job in a gaming studio, is like being able to tell the player what is going to happen next or what the enemy is going to be doing next. And he has this character has a lot of really big anticipations or a big staging moments where he really like tells the player, I'm about to throw this bomb. Look at this bomb. I'm going to throw it. Here I go. I'm throwing it, right? So we're going to walk through this tutorial today. So let's get started. This rig is a pretty good rig, by the way. I found it over at, let's see, what's it called? Animation Methods. It's called Animation Methods. It's a pretty good rig, right? I'll leave the link to the rig down in the comments, or down in the description or whatever. But yeah, it's a fun rig. Some limitations with it, and you'll see them as we go through the animation. But in general, I enjoy the rig. It's a fun rig. It's a fun little beast, a guy. You know, I was looking for a rig to use for this exercise, and I saw him, and I'm like, you know what? Let's use him. Okay, so I already have the idle pose built out, right? Obviously, we don't want to spend all the time in the video building out an idle pose. Okay. Something, you know, just as always, a few things I want to point out about the idle pose. Okay, it's a very clear silhouette. Okay, this goblin, very wide stance, very wide arms. Okay, the hands aren't quite twinning, right? One's lower than the other. The fingers are kind of just a little bit enough different. This one is more of a silhouette. This one is more of like a back face or a front face of the hand. Okay, and one is lower than the other. Okay, these feet are two different positions, and yeah, it's a very just clear silhouette. Okay, and that's a big thing when you're doing these enemy attacks in games, like very clear silhouette, and they use these very clear silhouettes so that like you know what enemy it is, not only in the color and the shape and the size or whatever, but the silhouette also plays a huge role, because as the player goes through the game, if you have like these guys in a bunch of different silhouettes, then you know it's really honestly going to confuse the player on what they're like fighting. Okay, and so it's good, and some games will be really fast paced, right? So it's really good to have a really strong silhouette, and that's what we got with this first pose. Okay, so with our first pose, we have it right here, right? Now we're going to go ahead and have him reach down his gullet. Okay, he's going to stand up for this. Tilt backwards. And I do got to say, it's fun reanimating this with you guys. It is really fun doing it. You know, I honestly animate it before I do it with everybody, and it's a lot of fun. So we go through here. Shoulders, I always try and make sure I point out the shoulders. Shoulders are a big thing that's missed, okay, in animations. And it's missed because the arm, you know, people move up the arm and they kind of just let the arm do all the talking, when really the shoulders plays a huge role, okay? Reaches in. I loved animating this. You know, I had no idea what I was going to animate, honestly, when I started this thing. But then I'm like, oh, man, wouldn't it be so... Like, I was actually going to have him pull it from his groin area down in here, reach in there and grab it. But I'm like, well, you know, he has a really giant mouth, and it'd be really cool if he just, like, you know, regurgitated it. I wanted to do more of a regurgitating animation feel, but I kind of ran out of time for how much time I give myself to animate these things, to make sure that I can stay within like around an hour of tutorial time with you guys. Uh, but yeah, so he grabs it here. Let's make sure he moves his eyes. They play a big role. If we want to, I didn't do this in the animation, but we can be like, we can really throw his eyes all, right? I don't think his eyes, he does blink. I actually didn't touch the blinking in the animation, but we can make his eyebrows go, right? He's really getting into that bomb grabbing, okay? Let's rotate his ears down, right, to emphasize that grotesque bomb grabbing. Okay, I think that's as far as we'll take this pose. Okay, we're gonna do a lot of like the subtleties of him like reaching down in the spline phase. That's what I did anyway in the polish phase of this animation because I really just kind of feel it out. I had this idea of him putting his hand in his mouth and grabbing it, and then I'm like, oh man, and that's when I came up with the idea to like maybe we can have him regurgitate it. We'll build a down pose in here, so like we can have him reach in like this, okay? But then he's going to come back up like this, and we're gonna add like this is simple blocking. We're gonna add all that other like his neck extending and everything at the very end, okay? Well, sorry, I shouldn't say at the very end, but in the polish phase. So then he goes here, and then he's what I do, you know, because when he pulls it back out, this already is a really strong pose, and he's just gonna like he needs to go onto his telegraph of like, hey, I'm holding a bomb, okay? And that's what you need to tell the player. That's what you need to think about when you're doing these animations. You need to telegraph to them. It's called a tell. You need to tell them what the enemy is holding. In this case, it's a grenade. It's a bomb, right? He's like, hey, I'm holding a bomb right here, and this is a really strong silhouette. So what I do is I just kind of select all the controls, and then I copy and paste that pose over to my next one, right? And then I change that pose because my pose is already like a big way there, okay? So he's gonna look at his hand, okay, after he's pulled it out of his mouth. Maybe have him go back like this, change this, you know, come out more so he can really, hey, look at this, I have a bomb in my hand, to the player, okay? And we can go ahead and grab that bomb now, okay? Since we're adding this pose in, grab that bomb like this, and then scale it up to 1, yeah, 31, ah! Hey guys, real quick, if you find yourself enjoying this video, please go down and hit that like and subscribe button. I'm always doing new stuff every day. You know, we have our daily animation exercises. I do a longer weekly extended video to help you guys. Please hit that like and subscribe button. Also, leave any comments, okay? It really helps me know what you guys want. My channel really caters to the animators out there that want to get better. I want to make my channel as versatile for you guys as I can, okay? It will help make this channel grow, help this community grow, and it's going to be awesome. Thanks, guys. Okay, scale the bomb up here. Get rid of those frames, right? Now the bomb's right here. We down right here, scale it down to 0.1, whatever. Right, just so you can't see it. Comes down, pulls it out. Okay, now he is looking down at the bomb, okay? Hey, look, player, I've got a bomb in my hand. Let's see, let's maybe have him look at the player, okay? Go like this. And we'll fill this animation out. I honestly don't remember what I did when I made the video. I can't remember if I had him look at the player or not. Might be a little repetitive. Have him look at the player and then lean back. Maybe not. Anyway, so then we're gonna have him lean back. Now, this is like a pitcher's throw, okay? Like a pitcher's, this is gonna be like a pitcher's like pose, right? When the pitcher's getting ready to throw the baseball, okay? He's gonna lob this grenade. And we need, again, to telegraph that, okay? We need to telegraph that. Like, it's pretty, you know, simple in the animation, like when an enemy is doing this, right? But like a good rule of thumb to keep that I've always kept in my mind when I'm animating, um, like animations is like you have to animate as if like you're animating for somebody that's never played any games before, right? So like animate, just like exaggerate everything, right? Animate it as if this person that is going to turn on this game, very first video game they ever played for the first time, like, would they know what this goblin is doing? Right? And with how we are telegraphing this, well, yes. Yes, because of how we're telegraphing this animation. Okay? So that's what I try to always keep in mind when I'm creating my animations. Okay? And that way it's like the safest bet. And you can still make your animations super cool, right? This animation obviously is going to be super fun and super cool, and it's the easiest way to tell the player that this goblin creature thing is going to throw this bomb at them, right? I want to exaggerate this pose just a little bit more, so I'm going to stick his leg up in the air. Okay. Get his leg going up here. Let's go like this. Move this hand up a bit more so that it's more of a better silhouette, right? This guy's ankles get a little bit wonky, a little bit pinchy, but that's okay. If you'll notice here, he's off balance. This is something that a lot of people do, is they won't pay attention to the balance of the character, okay? This guy is going to fall over backwards. We need to move him over like this. Let's not forget to take let's see, where's our knee control? Oh, here it is. We need to pull him over like this. Okay? He needs to have the weight, and we can even pull this over to this side a little bit more, so we can open him up just a little bit more if we want to. But this is pretty good right here for what we have right here. Okay? Maybe rotate his foot up just a little bit more like this. But you'll see that this pose is like super exaggerated for what he's going to end up doing, right? But that's on purpose. Like, you need to exaggerate your telegraphs, okay? You need to telegraph it. You need to exaggerate its staging, right? Anticipation. You are telling the player what they're about to do. They're winding back and you throw it. Plus, it just adds to the character of this character, okay? Winds back. Now he's going to step down, okay? We might be able to just build off this pose that we already have, okay? Go ahead and get rid of this. He's going to now come up and throw it. Okay. Something I want to point out before you guys jump into this lesson, okay? Make sure that you look at your reference, okay? I looked at plenty of reference before I did this animation, and to make sure I was doing it correctly. I've done many throws before, right? But I still look up reference, okay? If I'm confused about a pose or don't think I'm doing a pose correctly, I still look up the reference. Okay, make sure you're always looking up your reference. And I may even do it during this little tutorial. This is where his arms get a little bit wonky, and we're just gonna have to move past that. Let's see here. I don't quite like what's going on. I want him to more of a lob. And when baseball players throw the baseball, they lead with their shoulder and their elbow, right? So they're gonna really lob that. Okay. And of course, this little bad boy needs to be turned, clamped, and stepped. This needs to go to 13, just like that. Okay. And remember, this is blocking. In my version of blocking, I really just feel things out as I go. I don't really, so I have this like hybrid of like pose to pose and straight ahead, right? It's kind of like a hybrid system of a pose to pose and straight ahead. I do pose to pose. I do light pose to pose. I don't know, maybe not light, right? Because I do my major poses and get them feeling pretty good. But then but then when I'm just animating it, I really kind of just live in the animation and just kind of let my animation flow and just kind of feel it out instead of lock myself in, right? Just gonna step down before the throw, just like a baseball player, right? Keep losing that elbow control. Some rigs will have a nice little elbow control where some rigs will have a nice elbow control, like an elbow line that points to the pole vector. This one clearly, obviously does not. This, step down. He's going to come forward like this, rotate just like this, getting ready to lob that thing. This foot's going to come forward like this. He's going to have to come over on this leg a bit. Okay. Uh-oh. Screwed up this pose. Let's see if we can... No, screwed up the pose. It's okay, we just gotta step back. This is our pose here. And then we just need to go to our next pose. Let's make sure that our graph is all stepped. Okay. Boom. Okay. All right, now he's going to come forward. This. Gotta scoot him over like this. Maybe his leg is out like this still. Pull this knee out like this maybe. I want to pull him back like this. Getting ready to really throw that. Okay. His arm's going to come down. It's going to come in front like this to really get that momentum. Let's make sure his eyes come out in front a lot. Okay. And we can always finalize the like swaying back and forth, going side to side on either hips near the closer to the end. Okay, so that we can move on. And also, like, if he's going straight across, it's okay. If he's not rocking from weight shifting yet, it's okay. That's not a big deal as long as you put the weight shifting in there after. And I do that all the time. Okay. Because again, I really feel my way through my animations. Okay. And since I have him in the passing pose, right here, I'm going to have him come down into this contact pose and just kind of copy it right here and then pull it forward like this. Rotate it inward. Throws it. He's now thrown it. His head's going to rotate down a little bit like this. He's looking a little skewampus here. It's because his foot needs to rotate out as he's coming in like this. And then keep rotating out. Where's that knee? It's over here. Let's pull that knee out. Okay, pull that knee in like this a little bit. It's feeling a little broken. His hip area is a little wonky, but that's because of the rig. Okay, so we're gonna, that's the knee. Again, I lost that elbow control. Let's see, ooh, that elbow is a little too far. There we go. It's a little too far forward. Well, maybe not. Let's pull it forward. And then make this a little bit stronger. Pull this out further like this. Pull this out like this over here. Okay, now he's had his throw. He needs to take another step forward. Okay, and this is, he's gonna come forward here like this because he's gonna lift up this foot here and he's gonna take his other step forward like this. Then he's gonna rotate. Okay, we can pull him over if we want to. Doesn't matter, don't have to right now. So from here, okay, I need to get back to idle to make it a clean loop. Okay, so I'm gonna select everything here, all of his controls, and then I'm trying to make this like I can use animate, right, to make this easier on myself, but I try to make these videos as raw as possible because I know there's a lot of animators that can't afford animate, right? Can't afford tools or whatever. So I just do this as raw as possible, that it is possible and you can do it, not that hard, right? But we need to return to idle, and there is a way to figure out how to do that. And the way to do that is you just copy and paste the first frame over to here. Okay, well now he's back at 0. Well, I want this foot here, I want the foot to be, I want him to step down from this pose into this pose, okay? That's what I want. He's bringing his foot up like this to step down into this final pose. And there is my pose, right? Well, all I really got to do is I got to make sure that I bring this pose to here like this, and then I bring, I make 2 poses, okay? Have him step right here, make a pose there, make a pose there, and then I delete this, okay? And then I can zero him out like this. Oops. Don't zero him out. Get the first frame pose, right? Like this. Grab this here, like this. Grab all the controls that you need to bring with him to get him to move. Okay? Elbows. Maybe not the elbows. Yep, the elbows and the kneecaps. And we're going to pull him forward. Now what we're going to do is we're just going to go like this. Obviously you can see that as that root control comes forward, he moves back. So we need to move forward just a bit more. Okay, we're getting down to the wire here. We're just trying to match that up. And that's close enough, right? And so after we get that, we're going to select everything right here, and we're going to press S. Okay? And we're not actually putting this actual animation into a game, but it's important to like get him to go back into loop. That's what we always want to do, right? Get him going back into idle, or all of our characters going back into idle. Okay? For this foot, I don't want it coming back. You see how it pops up into position like that? I don't want it coming back. And in fact, I can change this and move this foot position back because I like how, like, I have to pick up this foot in order for it to return. Okay? So I want to pick up that foot. It adds more like weight shifting and more believability into the animation. Okay? He takes an extra step to get back to idle. Forward. That's idle right there. He's going to come back. Right here, come back. And the reason I'm pulling him back is because he has to continue that forward momentum as he's taking steps, right? Okay, so we've got our blocking in for this guy. Okay, this pose is feeling a little bit so I'm going to adjust it accordingly. Let's time him out now. Okay, let's time him out. He is going to put his hand in his mouth. He's going to go down, grab that bomb, pull it back out. Want to make that a little bit slower as he's pulling it out and going down into this position. Okay, we can get rid of this frame back here. And then he's going to look at it. Yeah, he's going to come down. He's kind of going to pull it out and then kind of not slowly go like this. And we'll see how it feels. But he's going to look at it, right? I want him to look at it and hold that for a while. So we're just going to set a frame right here. Okay, because all this time in here, he's going to look at it. And then he's going to look back at the player. Okay, looks back. This might be a little fast. He's going to look back at the player, wait just a little bit as more of an anticipation, and then he's going to reel back, hold again for another anticipation, for another telegraph. Okay, and then go into the throwing. And this is probably too many, but I'm just going to put 3 frames in between all those throws, and then on the settle, a little faster. Not too much though. Okay, let's see how our timing's feeling. All right, it's feeling pretty good, honestly. Oh, our timing on our bomb is not good. It's because we didn't grab it at the same time as everything else. Okay, that's where the key pose is, so I'm going to hit S. That's where it's going to turn on. Okay, and then I'm going to hit S here, because that's when it is at 0.1, where it's invisible. And then on the next frame, it's now attached to his hand. And pull it out. Okay. All right, so pulls it out of his mouth, looks at it, then looks at the player. And I like him looking at the player. And at first I said, you know, maybe we won't have him look at the player. But I like how it's feeling right now, where he looks at the player and then he looks at the back of the bomb. He doesn't even look at the bomb, actually. He looks at the player and then reels back to throw it, right? And that's fine. As long as he's not looking at the bomb, looking at the player, then looking at the bomb again. That's too repetitive, and we want to avoid that. Okay, and we are. So, this time it feels good, right? So, let's go ahead and jump right into spline, okay? And we got to make sure that we set a key on all of our controls, okay? But we obviously have all of this fun garbage down here. We can just go ahead and delete it. It's not, they're just empty frames, garbage frames, so we're just going to delete all of them. Okay, don't mean anything to us. As far as we know, they're dead to us. They're dead frames. Anyway, so we're going to jump less than sign S. Okay, less than sign S. we're going to set a key on all of those. We're going to step to the next one and set a key on all of the controls on each keyframe. So each control has a keyframe on it. Okay. That gets rid of our swimminess, right? Okay. So now we are going to destroy our animation. There we go. As always, we destroy it. Okay. Now, I love this part, honestly. I love this part because I get to see how ugly my animation has become after this, after that wonderful timing and after that great pass on blocking, right? I get to see how terribly ugly my animation has become. And I also get to see how much I have to do, okay? And it kind of gets rid of like that, like, so much work, right? It gets rid of that feeling. And I just know what I need to do. So let's go and press play and see what we need to do. All right, that's not bad, right? I mean, he obviously like needs to like spend a little more time reaching down his throat. Okay, the bomb throw is a little bit slow. Okay, but we're pretty much there, right? Like we're pretty far along here. So, oh, and just by the way, he usually has a tail. A tail is a completely different story. It's quite, it's a lot, and so I went ahead and got rid of the tail, because it's a whole different ball game. The tail is, and we'll do another tutorial another time on cat tails. This is like it's a wild tail, right? That he had. Anyway, okay, so I first want to block out. Not block out, but like, well, first we need to turn off our turn on our auto. Okay, save. Make sure that we're on auto. Okay, and I you know, like this part does obviously need some work. How fast he goes down and he grabs that, but I care more right now about his footwork. Okay, about how like how slow the bomb throw is. Okay, this is fine when he takes that first step, but then he needs to like throw it faster and come back into idle faster. And maybe that's a little too fast. I don't know. We'll fill it out. We'll see, right? Let's slow down that. He comes up, reaches in. Want this part to be nice and slow, okay? Not only is it a telegraph, but it's also like, that's what, like this character is, this falls into like the appeal, right? This character is disgusting. He is so ugly. But the thing that you can really play with here is he's so ugly that him pulling the bomb out of his throat, it's just like, it's entertaining and it's fun. And that's something this disgusting character would do, right? And so we want to emphasize that, right? And so we want to like really emphasize like him like regurgitating this. Like if we can pull it off in the animation here in this tutorial, we're going to attempt it here. But yeah, let's go ahead and get to work. Okay, on him regurgitating this and being absolutely disgusting. I want to see if we can get a little bit better arm. Yeah, let's pull his arm forward so we just get a little bit more room to play with his like how far his like his elbow coming forward, so he doesn't feel like he's like stretching so far, right? And the way you do that is you pull that elbow, and his elbow would probably do that in real life if he's really reaching down. Like you can see my elbow is really coming up and forward, right, to do that. So it's legitimate. It's not like I'm just like, okay, I'm gonna break the model. The texturing is a little off, but for the most part it's working. That's what would happen, right? So we obviously nobody's gonna go like reach in, like reach up and start putting their hand in their mouth. They're going to like really dive in, right? They're trying to get something. He's gonna really dive in. Okay, so we want to pull his hand out. And if I had even more time and more anticipation to put on this, I'd have him go. Go down and fast, reach in there, pull it out, right? But I don't. We need. This is an attack, right? And in gameplay, we can't. We don't have like all the time in the world. We need to be aware of that. Like the programmers need to make it so like the character grabs the object they're throwing or the weapon and then they use it, right? We don't have all this time in the world to just like slowly get into this attack and just like make it super entertaining. We have to work with what we got. And this wrist is what we got. Ooh, okay. Got a little bit of Euler filter going on. Let's Euler filter. Woo! Go Euler filter, right? So the thing that let's go ahead and try and build in this regurgitation, right? He's gonna come down with his neck is gonna compress. Let's make sure his hand comes with it. His neck is gonna come down too. Hand's gonna go down. And then he's going to, like maybe, let's see. I don't know how to regurgitate a bomb, but wait, he's gonna like roll out. He's reaching down. Let's go ahead and give this an offset first and foremost, right? Let's see how it looks when we offset where the body goes down first and then the neck comes after. Yeah, I like that. Okay. Let's have him close his mouth right here just a little bit so that he can open it. Let's see. He opens a little too fast. Want to close it first to give that contrast of like, hey, look, I'm going to shove my hand in my mouth. Comes down. Then he's going to roll his head up like this. Yeah, okay. That's working for us. Maybe we can put his arm up here like this. This is probably going to be the hardest part of animation, honestly. Because it's such a unique thing that we're doing. Right? Let's see. Oh, I love his eyes. Ah, we can't pull it up farther. But what we can do is we can go ooh, and really get his eyes. Ah. Okay. Yeah. And right here we can have his chest rotate inward like this. And then we can have his neck extend out farther, okay, like this. I wish I had scale controls right here because then I would just like have him like his chest scale up and like all that stuff. But we have to like try and fake that. His arm, his shoulder's gonna come up like this. His hand obviously isn't coming out far enough, so we gotta adjust that. Okay, it's gonna come all the way out like this. His face. Okay. I actually want him to look at the player. Okay, that's something that I accidentally discovered when I was animating the first time. It's like he like I accidentally added a key and he like stared at the player for a while and he's like, "Hey, look what I just did. It's disgusting." So I wanted to do that. I want to do that too in this tutorial. Reaches his hand in. So, something we're running into, right? Where his hand is going up and his body's going down or his neck's going down. That's okay. We just add a key where it's going down and then it starts to go back up, like where it's not going down with the body. Just add a key, delete that, and then we can pull this hand, move a couple frames and pull this hand down. Pull this over like this. Woo! Our hand gets a little bit of oiler filter again. Boom. Okay. Oh man, that's disgusting. And then he just sits and looks at you like while he's like pulling it out. I'm not going to add any overlap to the hand yet, just because that's more of a polish thing, okay, that I don't want to focus on right now. Okay, so now I want to get rid of my flats, right, where he goes down and he's holding. He goes down and he holds in this pose forever, right? We want to get rid of that. So we are just going to go like this. And something we can do actually, instead of his body like he goes up and then instead of his body like slowly coming down, right? That makes sense, but we want to try and make it a little bit more fun, okay? And so we can pull this up like this, where he pulls it out, and then he is still rotating up, and then he goes down fast, okay? Or faster, and then he does like a little body bounce. Let's see how that feels for us. I like how that feels, right? Yeah, I like that. Okay, he comes down, he stays up in the air, and then he comes down quickly, and then he comes back up. Okay, like this. I might have ruined it a little bit. Let's get back to where we were. A little less. Okay, I want him to rotate his body as I'm looking at this more. As I'm feeling it, he's kind of just rotating back and going down. It'd be nice if he like, for real, if I shot reference right now, or if I looked at reference, like the body, and nobody throws grenades out of there, right? But we can kind of pretend to do it. But our body, as we're reaching over, our chest would turn, our body would turn to really like emphasize that. It's not like we would just go, right, and just like go straight back. So let's go ahead and turn him as he's coming up like this. Let's go ahead and turn him like this. And then he can turn back as he's pulling the bomb out. Okay, we can polish this right here where the bomb's protruding. Right, we can polish that later. We got to move on though. Okay, because right now right now the main idea and the main action is coming together and coming to fruition. Okay, and we might have to do a part 2 for this, which I really would like. That'd be really fun to do. Okay, okay, so we're coming to a interesting position here. Okay, where the goblin does come down and he does hold and anticipate, but the problem is like he's moving a little too much, and it doesn't give the player enough of an anticipation because like he's still moving a lot. They have to go and they have to hold for a bit before they have to go and they have to hold for a little bit in order for the player to register, or for like to register like this is an anticipation. And so what we can do is we can probably have him come down. Since we like that body bounce, we can have him, we can add a few more frames here. Okay. And I like how that's feeling. He's anticipating, right? He's looking at it for a minute and then being like, hey player, look at what I'm looking at. It's a bomb. Guess what I'm going to do with this bomb? I'm going to throw it at you. His head turns a little bit fast. Let's go ahead and add some more frames right there. Obviously, we can play with the timing here on these frames because he looks and that he's holding there for a minute. And so we can play with that anticipation where like we can rotate, We can rotate his head back a little bit, like this, right? And he can ease into that, okay? Comes down, and then he eases into that. And as always on any like head turn or weight shift, he's dipping his head down already. But what I want to do is I want to dip his body down too, pull it down, rotate it down. Also gives us room to play with easing into this. Okay, now we get into the footstep area of this first, like lifting up his foot. Okay, this foot is, I see this all the time. Okay, with lifting the body up and lifting the foot up. Okay, you have to let the foot extend first. Okay, you have to let the foot extend on the ground before it picks up. And if the foot leaves with the body, like there's no weight holding it to the ground at that point. There's no, like, he becomes weightless, the goblin, right? The character. And so all you need to do is you need to pull these frames down, okay? And just let that extend. Let that leg extend out, okay? That's all that really you need to do, okay? And then his foot's going to rotate down like this. Okay, now we come into a flat area where he's holding. But anyway, that foot now stays on the ground for a little bit, and it's a lot more believable, okay, than this. Let's get rid of this. Let's move these back, okay? Like, it's so much more believable if the foot stays on the ground for another frame to extend that leg, and then it rotates down to leave. Okay. Got a flat here. You can either do this in the graph editor or you can just pull it back. Okay. Just like this. Sometimes I like to do in the graph editor. If I really wanted to get a lot of polish, I will, I'll do it in the graph editor. Okay. Sometimes I just go ahead and if I have a flat, I just keep them moving in that direction. Okay. You can't just like move, your hand can't move like this and then go like this. Like that's not what happens. If you're pulling your hand back, it needs to come back, and instead of hold where the anticipation is, it's going to come back up like this, and it's going to continue that momentum a little bit. I'm doing the same thing in the graph editor. If we look at the graph editor here, we got rid of those flats. See? It used to be, let's go back and show what it used to be. It used to be this. Before I made that adjustment, comes up, holds. Okay, all I'm doing, right? I'm taking the graph editor. I'm removing the middleman. Okay, and I'm making it so there's not that plateau. Okay, but I feel like I have a little bit more control in this situation where when he's coming back. And so then I just kind of adjust it myself. Okay. It's feeling good so far. Maybe this can rotate down so he can go up more. There we go. Okay. So, ooh, I squealed right there for a second. So, now, another rule of thumb, okay? The leg is going to plant and straighten out. I should say straighten out before it's going to start coming down, because you need something to catch all of the weight coming back down, okay? So your foot needs to start coming back down before the rest of the body, okay? And it just has to simply just come down like this. It can't come down, the body can't start coming down until the foot has made some kind of contact, right? It can start a little bit, but my foot here has now, the heel has made contact, and so now I can start rotating I can start pulling that body down. But that's because my foot has made the contact, okay? Obviously the body is holding still, And so to show movement right there, right? You can rotate the body. Okay, the body's going to lean back as that foot is going to plant. It's going to have movement. It's not going to have any downward movement, maybe a tiny bit. Okay, just a tiny bit, but it's most certainly not going to be a lot. Because your leg needs to be there for your body to like catch the weight. Okay, it's going to plant. Right now, the foot is rotating at the exact same time. I want it to plant and stick for just a couple frames, so I'm going to have it stick, and then it can rotate as the goblin comes forward. So now we're getting to this interesting position of like the foot and the body moving at the same time. Now, again, let that foot stay on the ground. Okay, it's gonna stay on the ground as the body rotates. Oops. Let's have it stick here for a couple frames. It's coming down too slow, so we want it to come down faster. This one's coming up. Another thing, right, on these kind of like walk forward kind of animations is you have, before your other foot can leave the ground, okay, the other one has to fully be planted first. Otherwise, you're floating in the air, right? The only time that is different is when a person is running, okay? And the reason that's different is because their leg has pushed off and they've like got a little hop in there, so their feet are going to be leaving the ground. But if you're planted on the ground, you have to plant your other foot before he's floating right now. That's not possible, right? So your foot needs to plant first before the other foot can come, like leave the ground. Okay, so let's push those back. Okay, make sure that he plants before this one starts going up. Push that back a frame. And this is obviously going really slow, right? So we can just speed that up. And he's coming back to this position too fast. So he's going to throw it, okay? And he can stay rotated like this still for a bit. And he can even still stay rotated like this. Actually, no. When your body's rotating, it's gonna rotate with it. But he can overshoot like this. Okay, there we go. All right. Still though, it's still like his hand and his chest and everything are hitting that. It's going boom and then rotating back, right? So we just need to create some overlap in there. Where do we create that overlap? Well, with the core of where we are attached, right? And in this instance, our, oh, never mind. I thought our arm is moving with the chest. That's okay. I want the chest to go rotate anyway like this, right? Because we're getting some countering with the chest. So we're gonna go like this. Okay. Feels a lot better. This arm doesn't feel very good right now, right? Let's polish up this arm, okay? As it comes up to throw the bomb, it's going to extend out, right? This doesn't, like, this is super weak, right? It's a bent elbow. No, that grenade's going nowhere, okay? Straight arm so he can really lob it, drag it behind. Whoop. Okay, straight arm. Maintain that straight arm. And maybe even pull in. Oops. Let's see. There's the elbow. Pull in that elbow a little bit. And it's okay if the model breaks. That's just the limitations of this model. Okay. And this animation is, you can put this kind of animation on your reel. Make sure you get a good model though, okay? That will not be exercisey. So, and I mean, it doesn't look bad. I mean, you play your cards right, you won't notice it, right? Got a little bit of Euler filter going on. Maybe not. It's 1 frame, so I'm fine just adjusting it like this. If it was like 5 frames, I'd be like, okay, let's go and fix that in the gimbal lock. Boom, hits. Too hard, right? Hits too hard. So what we need to do is we need to build that overlap in, that follow through, I mean, right where he comes. The elbow is going to come up like this. It's still going. There's that follow through. Okay. Now we're building in some overlap. It's still hitting a little hard, right? And I think it's because it's going down and then back up. And so I think so if you notice, he's throwing it is going down and then back up, right? It's not going down and then creating this nice downward arc. It's going boom and then coming back up. And you'll see that right here where it's going down and then coming back up, okay? So we want to create that downward arc. Like this. Pull that down. Yep. Pops over just a little too much. There we go. There we go. I want him to throw it outward just a little bit more, right? Because right now he's throwing it kind of inward. I kind of want him to throw it outward like this. And then it comes in. Watch that arc. The arc is looking terrible. Okay. Comes in. Okay. It's looking really good, guys. I'm liking where this is coming. And it's really awesome because if you guys want to download this rig, it's free. You know, sorry. It's free. You guys can follow along and animate it if you would like. Comes up. So I'm just going to throw out like this so that he can gain momentum. It's going to come down like this, going to overlap. This hand is going to overlap like this. Okay, we want to follow through with this hand in the back. So we're going to go like this. Okay, the hand is coming forward really quickly. We just need to have that overlap backwards, right? And not come forward so quickly. And then we can move those frames over. If you see what I did there, I moved the frames over. It's coming in really fast. I just move the frames over so that it reaches its final pose later. Okay, and then I pull it in like this because the body is reaching its final point and the shoulder reaching its final point already right here. So, and because this keyframe is much after this keyframe right here, let's look at this keyframe. Okay, this keyframe is the final pose is here. This keyframe, oh, looks like it's not as far back as I thought it was, but we can make that happen just like that. And it's now working for us. Okay, now we've created a nice overlap for that arm. Okay, so a few more things I want to touch up here. Okay, that hand. Let's touch up the hand a bit. Okay, be mindful of that hand and the arc it's creating. Let's open up this mouth a little bit more. Maybe even scale it, right? Open it up. Maybe as he goes down and goes like this, his mouth is closed like this, and then he's like, he's like, He's like, and then he chucks it, right? Okay. I want to build in some overlap on these hands. So we're going to, as he's coming up, this 6-frame buffer, this buffer at the beginning is nothing. But as he comes up, his hand's going to rotate downward. Okay, like that. As he's coming down, it's going to rotate back. This frame right here doesn't matter because we want to create this downward overlap right here. So we can go and create that downward overlap and then delete this one because it's just creating like it's not doing anything for us, right? It's kind of a hitch in the graph editor where it kind of like it kind of goes and then it flattens just for a couple frames and then goes again. So we're just gonna want to get rid of that. And we can pull this frame back since our hand is already rotating upward. We can pull that frame backwards so that, because if it's right here, right, we've already got that upward overlap, okay, the upward rotation. But we can just, since we already have that rotation, we don't want to create more work for ourselves. So we just pull it this way, and then it's already done, okay. We can rotate, it's the arm is coming down here, so we can rotate the wrist this way. Okay. Looks like there's a point in which the hand stops moving, gets kind of stiff. So we just pull it down farther. Maybe we can overlap just a little bit as the hand is coming up. Don't want to overlap too much, okay? You need to be aware of your overlap. Okay. He's making a really big movement here. So I'm going to overlap downward like this and pull the arm down. Okay? And I might even really pull it down and rotate it like this. I want to rotate this downward. I don't like how like turned the wrist is right here. It's a little kinked. Okay? So we're going to move it back like this, and then we're going to have this rotate downward. And then as he comes up to go, he's going to have an opportunity where he overlaps this way. Okay. Like this. The arm straightens out. I didn't want that. Okay. Comes up. There we go. Let's do a little bit of overlap on our head before we finish up. Okay, comes up like this. As he's going up, we're gonna pull the head down, and it's really just the overlap is just building it in. Okay, guys, like you can struggle with the graph editor for hours. You can do that, and you know get the results you want, but it's gonna take you a lot longer than just manipulating the keys yourself. Okay. Since he's coming down, I'm going to have him. He's going to remain looking at the player, okay? But his head is still going to overlap. I'm going to pull that back. I want his head to overlap to the other side a bit more. Oh, something I didn't do. Something that we need to do, okay? Super important. Okay, that's actually really important. It's body mechanics, right? So, firstly, let's fix his foot. I just noticed this. Okay. is just coming up here like this. We need to delay that a little bit, okay? Because if you notice, there's no extension on his leg right here. There's no like extension where his leg straightens out. Okay, your leg is going to remain on the ground. He's going to fall over currently because his leg doesn't stay on the ground. Your leg is going to, just like explained before, your leg is going to stay on the ground as long as it possibly can before it leaves to help support your weight. So it's going to come like this, and that's okay. His leg is stretching, so what we can do is we can fiddle with this stuff here and get a nice roll in there. Okay. All right. Now we've got that leg is stretching, but not a whole ton. As I've said in my other videos, I'm not a huge fan of stretching limbs. Okay, I'm not a huge fan of it. I try to avoid it. Okay, but this is not stretching all that much. And in fact, if I really want to, I can do that and really get away from stretching those limbs. Okay. I don't like how fast this is rotating for. Let's see. His foot is too far back by this point, so we need to pull it forward. Nope. Maybe his body is too far forward. Because if you notice, his leg plants here. And that's not pretty. And then he just kind of hops onto the other leg. So maybe the body comes forward too much. Too fast, I mean. So let's go ahead and we can pull that down like that a bit. So that his passing pose is actually an accurate passing pose and it's not like in the middle of the body. Let's go ahead and zero these out here like this. Now his passing pose is now near the middle. Oh, maybe we do want to keep this back to keep that in its path of action. Okay, that feels a lot better. All right, let's see. What else do we want to polish up here? Oh, right, the body. Okay, it needs to shift, okay, onto its weighted side. So maybe we can turn the, push the body over this way as he comes back down. Goes up, goes over just a little bit, then comes back down on this hip. Okay, maybe dips down a little bit more. So we can weight shift onto this other hip, okay? And then comes down, maybe he can go over to this hip as he comes down like this, right? Want to make sure we adjust that in the graph editor as well. Since he's coming down right here, we don't want him to go back to the other side, so we need to change that in the graph editor, okay? He's doing another weight shift right here, okay? He's going to dip down. Oops. He's going to get rid of that. Clean that up. That's bad right there. He's going to dip down just a little bit here. And then come over to this side. Because he's turning his head, right? And he's kind of doing a weight shift. You see how much more life that adds to the animation? Because we're just like swaying him back and forth, and we're not just like going up and down and stuff like that. We're swaying him side to side as he's moving his body around and looking left to right, okay? And that's super important. Down. Gonna rotate his wrist forward like this. Keep it rotated forward. Maybe we can even pull this forward. and then drag this behind a bit more. Pull this way. Keep his arms straight. Straighten his arm out on the downward arc here. Oh. His arm comes up. If you notice, there's a hitch here where his arm gets rid of that, like, there's no longer an arc there. It comes up and then it goes back down. We want to make sure to maintain that downward arc, right? It goes down. It needs to keep going down. Not go up. And we can pull it closer to the body if we want to. Don't want it to go up, so we keep pulling it down. Ooh, it's a little too far. Not have it straighten as much. Okay. Have his hands overlapping. Oh, want to add just a little bit more overlap to his head, so we're going to do that. It's going to rotate this way as it's coming back that way. And then it's going to rotate this way. Maybe not as much because it's going too much with the arms. Okay, you got to. That's also something you got to be aware of. Is like, how much is your overlap moving, and is it moving too much with everything else? Okay. And it looks like it is, so we need to. There we go. Now it's not moving. There we go. Okay. And then let's dip it down. I keep forgetting. This is my ADHD coming in, guys. I'm sorry. I keep forgetting that we are supposed to be adjusting the main body as it comes over and weight shifts. I keep forgetting. It's going to come over like this. Let's see. And then it's going to come down. Oops. Down like this. The body can't start coming over until the other foot has planted. Okay. It's going to come over like this, and then he's over on this right here is the leg that is holding all the weight. So we need to go over to it and stay on that leg. Okay, until this other leg plants. Then we can go on that leg. Okay, pull him over still. All of a sudden he just kind of stops. Okay, we need to keep him going this way. Then he's gonna go back onto that other leg, so he's gonna dip down just a little bit. He's gonna, whenever you put your weight onto the other leg, you're gonna pop up. Okay, you're gonna go down on the weight transfer, and then you're gonna go upward when the weight is all the way on that leg. So he's gonna go upward, then go back down. Maybe not as far down as I had him. Oh man, that adds so much more life. Oh, just because we moved him side to side, right? I think these arms are just a little bit. Oh no, looks like we can get some counter pasto or whatever. Let's see, actually the hips, yeah, the arms. That's one thing with this rig is the arms are a little iffy. If we move our hips, it's gonna give us some squirrely whirly. We can move them a little bit, not a whole ton though, because then it's just gonna counter animating our hands. We might be able to get away with doing this. Yeah, we're fine. Okay, so one more last thing I want to polish. I swear, is grabbing this bomb. Okay, looks like it comes through the bottom here. Let's make sure his hand is in here completely. Pull it down. Nope. Rotates up here. Keep it downward. Okay. And that, my friends, is our video. Okay. Again, there's hours and hours of polish we can put on this thing, but we're not going to do that. We successfully created a grenade throw. Okay. Look for places on your characters, on these cool, fun characters and rigs that you find online. Look for places where you can, like, play with the character and their features and their characteristics, right? Like, I looked at this guy, and my first instinct was to have him pull the bomb out from under his loincloth, okay? And that's a very feasible thing that could be very funny to do and very funny to telegraph, okay? But then I'm like, okay, well, what's another big feature on? Because a lot of people probably have him pulling it from behind his back or honestly from under his loincloth. So I'm like, okay, well, this guy has a really big mouth, okay? So since he has such a huge mouth, let's pull the bomb out of his mouth. Like, that'll be a ton of fun. So I went ahead and pulled the bomb out of his mouth. Okay. That's how I kind of animate my characters. I look at like their biggest feature and I kind of play off of that idea, and I like exaggerate that feature and exaggerate that idea. As always, I have my Discord channel. Please come by, check it out. Leave your shop for review if you would like me to review it. I do it daily. I've been a bit busy lately, but I try and get to as much as I possibly can. Also, on my YouTube channel, please go check out my other videos. They're really great. You'll get a lot of great information out of all my videos that you're going to watch. I've had a lot of people comment saying they really enjoy this channel. It's really helped them get better at animation, and I haven't even been doing it for very long for this channel. So please, come on by to my Discord channel. Please go look at other videos, and let's keep going. Thanks, guys. Happy animating.